Good morning. How are we all today? I wasn't sure if I was going to make it on time this morning. We're going to look at some, let me get our chart up for today. 5 essential questions for when you feel angry. And remember how we talked about judgment yesterday? Anger comes with judgment, whether it's anger from the other person or we get angry because we're being judged, then we need to look at our anger. We'll never change them. That's all in God's hands, to be honest, and whether they pursue a personal relationship with God. But for us, we have the ability to self-reflect, breathe deep, and work out what's happening for us. I had to go and grab an enormous coffee, homemade, good stuff. Burning the candle at both ends at the moment, loving all of this. Okay, so why do we want to look at 5 essential... excuse me while my cat just takes over here. So, Panda's a Manx. She doesn't have a tail. Okay, hey, you want to say hello to everybody? Or you just want to sit down? Okay, sorry, you can't actually see her face. Okay, she has a chair next to me. Right, let's do this. Okay. So when somebody's judging us and we get the vibe and it's happening, we want to ask, and we respond emotionally, the first question we want to ask ourselves is, why am I allowing others to control my emotions? Okay? Think about it. We're having an emotional response to something that they're exuding out from them, or they're speaking out from them. Okay? Now, and it does hurt. Absolutely. And absolutely we've got to sit down and work out what's been triggered inside of us. And it's wounding. But also we need to ask ourselves the question, why am I allowing others to control my emotions? Because if we keep the emotional response happening, that's what we're doing. We're allowing them to control our emotions. And I'm not talking about the immediate impact of someone judging you. I'm talking about if you're allowing the impact to go on for days and days and days, and you know that this is what's happening because you keep talking about it all the time. So if you're talking about it all the time, what that person's like, what they've done, how they've upset you, then you need to sit down and ask this question. You need to do your deep breathing, 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. And it was really good to get feedback last night that a lady in the group started doing the 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out, and she really could feel how much deeper you can go within. So that's what we need to do for that. Then, as you go within, the next question you want to ask is, what are the emotions under the anger? Now, always remember, or teach yourself to remember that if the anger's coming out, it's a secondary emotion, okay? Anger is always secondary. So think about your kids. They could be playing along and then all of a sudden they get angry. Now, if you were to flip that around and you went, oh, you'd say, well, what made them angry? Well, at the moment you're perceiving that somebody else made you angry, and their actions and their vibe and their words have made you angry, sure. But we've got to come back to, okay, what's underneath my anger? What did I feel? And, you know, it can be all sorts of things, like I felt less than. Remember we talked about feeling less than yesterday? And if we can get to what the feeling is, then we can then turn it around and affirm to ourselves that that's not who we are. Okay, and one of the best decisions I ever made in my life was to start listening to the people around me, because all the negative self-talk that I'd been listening to for years hadn't worked. Telling myself I was my biggest inner critic. I had an inner critic that could go on like this. Okay, flip of a switch, and it'd be on. And then one day I went, you know what, I've got all these people around me that say really nice and kind things to me. Wonder what would happen if I started listening to them and started believing that who they could see was actually who I am. And it made a really big difference to my life, and it made a really big difference to the inner critic. Okay? So, hi Sarah, wonderful to have you here. Yeah, I agree. This really touches home for me every time I think about it. Now, question 3, how can I have more empathy? Now, I'm not talking about empathy for everybody else, because we're pretty successful at doing that because we care. We have these really kind, caring hearts, and we can sit in somebody else's shoes, and that's what empathy is that we're able to imagine walking in someone else's shoes and what was happening for them, how they're feeling, what they were sensing around them, the depth of what's happening for them. We can understand, we empathise with them, how hard things would be or how joyful things would be when they achieve, and that's empathy. But the big question here is, how can I have more empathy for me? How can I stand and walk in my own shoes and stop giving myself a hard time? Okay? And you're going to find that answer when you start acknowledging what are the emotions under the anger. Because then you're going to say, well, oh wow, I do have value. People around can see that I have value. I know I have value. Okay? And we start to value ourselves. I can now see that I'm kind, etc., etc. So it's really a flow on all the way through the questions. Where do I need to recognise my underlying emotions? So underneath the anger, and when we work out what was happening, what that person triggered, underneath that is our emotions that we are hiding from ourselves. Okay? Now, we've hidden them from ourselves, possibly because we've had trauma in the past, or there's been a stressful situation where we haven't had the tools to know how to deal with it, so we just keep swallowing and swallowing and swallowing the emotions. And, it becomes like a bank in our soul of, we're banking swallowed emotions. No more swallowed emotions, hashtags, okay? No more swallowed emotions. And so we want to get to them so that we can process them, because then we understand how we really are feeling about ourselves, and we're able to let that go. Okay? That's a whole other chat show, the letting go. But recognizing the emotions is just the bee's knees. It's hard work. Okay? Not a lot of people will do this. It's hard work to own what we're feeling underneath it, okay? But everyone around us is able to, or the experiences around us are able to show us that we've still got more underlying emotions to deal with, okay? When am I going to trust? We often find that we have a lot of ideas or thoughts around perfectionism, okay? And what we need to do is learn to trust ourselves, okay? Instead of trying to control what's happening around us, we need to go within and start learning to trust ourselves, that we have value, and we are able to make healthy decisions. Now, remember one of our first talks, I mentioned about how hard decisions are never popular. This work, it can bring stuff out, which brings up the fact that we need to make some hard decisions for ourselves. So it's never popular. And that's why a lot of people can't do this work, or choose not to do this work, because it's not easy and it's not popular, because it makes us open up our world, makes us get out of the box that we've had ourselves in. It it allows us not to ever have anyone else in a box as well, okay? And it brings such a richness to our life. And when we get rid of the perfectionism, we learn to embrace the mystery of life instead of wanting a certainty all the time, okay? When we want certainty all the time, then we've got to go within and dig up having trust for ourselves, and that we're adults now and we can make healthy decisions. Okay? That's all for today. Lots of self-reflective questions. The video will be up the live videos on this page, but the main video I will post on YouTube with a link on the other page later on today. So feel free to pause and write the questions down. I'll also put the questions up in my story so that you can have them now. Actually, no, I'll put them up on my wall underneath this video so that you can have them now and you're going to have time for some self-reflection. You're right, Sarah, it is hard, but the thing is, the most important thing to remember with this work is that it's ongoing and it does take a significant amount of our life and time, because we're not going on a weekend retreat and going, right, I'm going to deal with this and that's it. Okay? That doesn't happen. It all unfolds in the experience of our life in order that we grow with our lives. Now, when I say grow with our lives, I mean our children have an impact, family, friends, everyone has an impact. And all of those situations around us give us keys to what's happening inside of us as well. So we can't just go off and be on our own and do it on our own. Yes, we do this particular inner work on our own, but what we want to do is step out into our life and go, okay, I need a key. What am I going to see that's going to help me? So using our intuition, going down into our soul, into our pure spirit, and getting answers from within. Being able to breathe the 5 seconds in and out when we're out in public so that we can perceive and discern what's happening around us that is even triggering us, even if somebody's not talking. And also allowing ourselves that this is a normal part of life to process, and and it gives us the experience that we need as we go on to impact other people's lives in a really beautiful, healthy manner as well. Okay? Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. We do become better people. You nailed it. Well done. All right, I do have to go today, but it's wonderful to share time with you all. And for everybody on replay, let's do our hashtag replay and hashtag no more silence. Okay? No more silence from within. No more shoving it down. No more swallowing. No more swallowing. All right. Blessings and dreams. And I will talk to you tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to talk about powerlessness.